put together and for Speaking Tiger to publish it. These are increasingly unpopular issues to write, talk, discuss. Picking up on a strand that has already been mentioned here earlier is about the whole hullabaloo around bringing in 3 new criminal codes and terming it the decolonization of Indian law, which, as anyone who has studied the new codes would know, that except for each of the titles being a big Hindi mouthful now, there is actually no decolonization, and in fact it's a huge opportunity lost, because yes, there are aspects of the law that require decolonization. To name one, the silence around the offense of torture, to which India has signed the UN Convention Against Torture and made many commitments at the UN international fora, but refuses to either bring in a domestic law or ratify the UN Convention. More pertinently with respect to what we are discussing today is the whole issue of legal immunity. What there was prior to, say, the Code of Criminal Procedure as being part of the Indian legal regime, there was a section which was called Servants of the Crown. Now, servants of the Crown were given certain legal immunities, because that is how a colonial regime functions, so that nobody could lodge criminal cases against servants of the Crown. After independence, servants of the Crown was changed to public servants. But there was no alteration whatsoever made in the substance of the provision, which continued and continues even now. And that legal immunity, why does that become important? You can lodge a case against a complaint against a police officer who has committed torture, who has committed extrajudicial executions, who has committed other forms of custodial detentions. And what is the consequence? Let me use some examples to say that. There is a case that the Supreme Court decided on a very large number of extrajudicial executions in Manipur. This happened a while back. And they said that yes, there are so many cases that we have identified where there is a need for prosecution. And they asked the CBI to take over and start the prosecution. FIRs were lodged. Named in the FIRs are both police as well as those who belong to the armed forces. Very interestingly, sanction was given, because when you have this legal immunity, the only way to jump that hurdle is to secure sanction from whom? The sanction for prosecution comes from the state. So the state gave sanction to prosecute the police, but refused to give sanction to prosecute any member of the armed forces. And we know that in Manipur there is AFSPA, and of course the police is only in aid, they act in aid of, but everybody understands the power dynamics. Let's go to a totally different case. The Ishrat Jahan extrajudicial killing, which I was myself doing, and so I'm familiar with the facts. Why did that case just disappear into no further action? After all, there was a charge sheet filed against Gujarat police officers. The Gujarat state stepped in and said they will not give sanction for prosecution. The CBI is the prosecuting agency. Did it appeal? Did it ask any questions? Did it go to a high authority? Did it ask is? Because there is only one criteria where sanction is not to be given, and that is that you are doing this in discharge of your official duty, which surely this cannot be. I'll move quickly to another issue, which was again mentioned here. We are sitting in Delhi. 1984 is again something that I have both witnessed and written about. The whole issue of omnibus FIRs, faceless, nameless mobs did not start in 2002, and I say this because each generation believes that world began when they were born. It really isn't like that. And therefore studying history is very helpful. It was a device which was honed in 1984, further perfected in 2002, and by 2020, that device was moved to implicating members of the minority community in this city in false cases, and that is the transition that you see taking place. mentioned in my further thoughts bit in this book is something that I think we have been, at least many of us have been trying to raise repeatedly. In London, when there was the killing of Stephen Lawrence, there was a commission, and the Lord Macpherson Committee came up with an understanding that there is an institutional racism in the police force of London. That is the institutional bias that we today see. And there is more than enough evidence. It is not even a hypothesis any longer. There is enough evidence through custodial killings, the custodial killing of Faizan in February 2020, of which there is a viral video, which has been termed as a hate crime by the Delhi High Court. That institutional bias is something that no government, regardless of the political party and regime, is willing to acknowledge as a concern and therefore rectify and remedy it. And therefore what we have today, and of course we have the Hashipura example, which was, at least till then, the largest custodial killing with a communal bias. So what you have today is not just the police being agents of the state, they are state agents, and I think there is a marked difference. There is today what we see an ideological conflation, both of the majoritarianism project as well as the extractive destitution, impoverishment of Adivasis, forest dwellers that is taking place in different parts of the country. Moving on from there is something that I want to flag here, because one sees this, there's a discussion that was referred to by Pam of another report recently, a few days ago. Everyone talks of, and many NGOs do this work, that police reform has been championed through the Prakash Singh judgment. I would urge all of you, it's not a very long judgment. It's a 2006 judgment, please read it. Please tell me if there is any reference, any line or sentence in that judgment which talks of torture, which talks of police violence, which is not new. It didn't start from 2014 onwards. Police violence has been documented from the Bhagalpur blindings, etc. Yet we look at the Prakash Singh judgment as the face of police reform. The Prakash, first, I don't think you can reform, and Mr. Vrindra may disagree with me. I don't think the police force can be reformed. The police has to be made accountable, and the two are very different registers to work on. Secondly, that entire judgment is about freeing the police from political control, which should happen. I have no disagreement. But then what is their accountability and how is that impunity challenged is not at all discussed. We have other judgments. You have the DK Basu judgment. Now you have in every police station there will be CCTV. You have the Paramveer Singh judgment. Those are different judgments which do not intersect at any point. The impunity that we are now seeing has reached a point where it is not just that, these are deviant policemen or there is a force. There is an institutional bias, and there is a conflation, ideological conflation, which has incentives which are given of the manner in which the police is actually functioning. This is a grave danger actually to everybody in this country. We can think, oh, it's only for the minorities. These are little myths we are living with. This danger is something that we have to keep on talking about till the day that somebody realizes that it is for real. Many parts of this country have suffered immensely. We don't bother. We don't think of them as equal citizens, so we don't talk about them. It is not something that the courts are very comfortable with challenging beyond a point. They will challenge when an individual aberration, as they call it. One bad apple has done something, we will punish that individual policeman. Because the courts too are extremely hesitant to disturb the status quo. And the status quo today, if maintained, will actually completely suppress all forms of equal citizenship through violence. And violence is central to this project, and the police will use the force of law to execute that violence. The last sentence, please watch out. There is a huge project to actually arm the police with very, very sophisticated weapons. Adani has entered into the sphere of manufacture of weapons and armaments and arms. And your local cop, who earlier had a danda, then had a 302, is now going to be armed with much more sophisticated and lethal weapons. And that is something that we need to be discussing and talking about. Thank you.